each other, ever since we known each other, he has been an inspiration. I like to hear his great intakes, his outputs, and everything. That man is a strong soldier in the army of the Lord. I tell you, he's a disciple. He's an apostle. So I look up
I
to him.
know. I couldn't agree more. We have, I know Jeff in a very special way, and now we are here doing this. That's beyond, it's a blessing.
Yeah,
It's
it is.
I know there's no coincidence. No matter how you start, we know people in some different, some weird situations sometimes, and it turns out to be amazing. And then we just look at it, just the blessings, just what we can add, the values that we can get from it.
Yes, yes,
And
definitely.
yeah, Jeff, you want to
Yeah, I just want to answer, it's
formally?
it turns out there's this formula. Almost every relationship of any importance, there's a moment of falling out where, people butt heads, and then they decide whether or not they want to stay in the relationship. And I do that with pretty much everybody, even Davie and I. When I was really sick one day, he and I were talking, and he said something completely innocent, and I got all, what are you saying? And it turned out, I was just, taking him completely wrong. And we've been friends on Facebook for a long time, at least 6 years. So we are recording. I went ahead and I posted this live so people can. There are people who are sitting in and watching this right now, so. Minister Davie Howard is our guest today, and with my co-host Selena Breeze, who is a trauma specialist who helped me with a lot of personal issues. And Davie is somebody who I follow on Facebook. He's got a gospel show that I sit in on almost every week, and he plays a lot of different other music shows, house music, R&B, blues, step and music, disco, and it's like I'm into all of it. So just to give people a little background on that. And
Yeah, wow. I feel the vibe. The vibe is really good, and I feel the positivity. It's really a blessing to have you here. Yeah, like Jeff said, just a short introduction about myself, and we get to know each other. It's just the beginning, because connection is very important. And thank you so much for being here with us.
Oh, thank you for having me.
We love to hear amazing things about you. I will have you, but I give you
Okay.
the space. We have also audience, and I'm sure you have a lot to tell us, and we never know who is listening around and who need to hear the beautiful message, inspiring message, because I know you are such an inspiring minister. All what you do, I feel it. Even, I feel it.
Also,
So, Minister Davie,
yes. Okay. Well, it's a pleasure to be among the saints of God. It's just so awesome when I get this honor to be in this group this Sunday morning. It's just so amazing. I was looking forward to it. My brother, when he introduced me to it, I was like, oh my God, this is awesome. I felt like I was getting an award. And just to be a man that's 60 years of age almost. And being in the presence of the Lord, I attend Regent University. I'm going to Regent University at this time to get my bachelor's degree in Christian ministry. And me getting this degree in Christian ministry is going to lead me into me becoming a chaplain and working off in the vineyards of the highways and byways where the saints of God, the broken, the unknown, the forgotten, the fallen, however you want to look at it, has lost their contact with our higher power beings, our Savior Jesus Christ. and that's where I'm at. And I come from a gospel background family. Yes, I do. I got many bishops and many pastors and all of this good stuff. I sung in the choir and all of that good stuff. And I came into this ministry like, Lord, I know you give us and bless us with more than one gift. So I need to know what other gift can I open up and serve you and give you all the power and the glory. So he gave me this thing, just a little clip of what he said to me. He says, look back over your life. And I was like, Father, but if I look back over my life, that's some years. He said, I say, look back over your life. And I went into meditation and I went into prayer and I thought, let me look back and see what he's trying to talk about. And there was so much there. And I'm like, Father, I still don't see what you're saying. I said, let me say this, Father. And I said, I don't want to be disobedient to your word or anything, but I want to do something, but I don't want to be in the church as far as holding down a church with the congregation, all of the auxiliaries and things of this sort in there. I said, I want to do something like the apostles, like the disciples did that walked with you, Father. I need to be on that path. And he said, look back over your life. So he took it upon himself to put me into a deep sleep. And this deep sleep, he was able to work with me and give me vision of what I was missing that he was telling me to look for. And what it was that throughout my years of being here on the face of his heavenly sent earth, I have always been a person of encouragement, of word, an intercessor, a guidance, an overseer. And I'm like, Father, those was my jobs, but those was jobs that I had to do to live to survive. He said, no, those was jobs to please me. And I was like, oh, wow, Father, but again, I don't want to work in no church. I don't want to hold down no church, because you look at these churches sometimes today, they're so big and the pastors get so amused with what's right there on the side of them to the back of their exit sign, and it's like the peoples that need you is on the outside of that sign. So I was like, Father, where do I go? And he said, go where I send thee. So that's how I ended up at Regent University and getting my working on my degree. But he says, I can use you there. And I'm looking at these there's, and I'm like, where? And it came to me. What did you do with your job? You went to jails to pray and help people. You went to broken family members, helped and prayed for people. You went to hospitals, prayed and did stuff for people. I dealt as a grievance counselor for a lot of the tragic things, which I'm originally from Chicago, Illinois, but I stay in Green Bay, Wisconsin. And if anybody remembers, Chicago had got spoken well about 13, 14 years ago, where they were doing a lot of shooting on the highways there and all of this kind of stuff. And I was up under the direction of Pastor Corey Brooks. He was the pastor that was helping, going out ministering in the, as we want to say, quote unquote, the ghetto or the heartless parts of Chicago, to try to bring some life back into it. So I was over a part of his church that was called a serve team, where I made sure every auxiliary in the church, there I go again, making sure everybody is on the same page. If they needed some help or anything like that, I made sure I was the one who made sure they got it and all this kind of stuff. And when it came to the grievance counseling, was for all of those high profile murders, they were at our church. So I had to sit there and deal with getting the families in there to understand their grievances and all of this kind of stuff, what they wanted in their morning or whatever, and how the services want to go, and make sure the services went their way. And if it was a high profile funeral, they called in the police. So everything has to be ushered in order. And that's where I would come in at, making sure, stepping outside. The family, the Smith family at this time is asking that no phones, no recordings of any sort, no talking. You see what I'm saying? Respect the family. We ask that you come in and, respect them by all means. And the thing will go very well, but that's what I did a whole lot of. And so me being, like I said, here in Green Bay, Wisconsin, that's in Wisconsin, I just dealt with so many jobs. And like I said, I'm just doing this intercessor thing and this case managing thing. It's always overseeing somebody's thoughts, a life, trying to help them pull themselves back together, give them hope. And you know what I'm speaking on, and know that there's a reason to live, that all isn't gone. We all fall down, but we must get back up. And the thing is, when Christ shed his blood back on Calvary, he mentioned that before he even got to that part. He said that all that is unto him we will go through more than basically that he did. We will be persecuted. We will be, whipped and blamed for his name's sake. So it's not something that I ever feared. That's one thing that a lot of saints of God don't come entwined with, is that God did not give us the gift of fear. Erase that fear, and you can become that conqueror. You can become that great father that you want to be, that beautiful mother, that recovering alcoholic or drug user. It's that fear that we must get past. And that's what hardens us so bad and keep us from loving the Lord and doing his will, is because we're so scared. But he has his arms. I was talking to my nephew yesterday, and I gave him a physical example. I said, let me show you something. I said, take your hands and place your hands in front of you. Open them up and place them in front of you. I said, do you see what I see? He said, no. I said, I'm going to help you see. Your hands is open, so that means you're able to receive.
Exactly.
Take your hands and slowly ball them up. What that means? Nothing can come in.
That is a very, very profound truth. Yes, I know, because I do believe that we are here for a purpose, and we can only find that ultimate purpose if we keep ourselves in a receiving state. And that I really get it.
Yes.
And doubt, that is the obstacles, and fear, of course. And the fear we can turn into power. And that's what I feel from you. And it's so amazing. It's so inspiring indeed.
Yeah. And one thing is, I tell a lot of people, I said, you just don't know the place that you are in. You are in such a warm and loving place, because if we were living, which the word of God is from Genesis to Revelation, and we live by the whole word and not just excerpts of the word. I said, just imagine if Christ didn't pay the price that he did back on Calvary, how many family members would you have? They sacrificed a lot in that Old Testament. You've been to put your mother and father and brother to just make yourself well or renewed with you and your power and God. You feel what I'm saying? You've been to sacrifice everything. You won't even have no family members, because we're just that weak. But we don't have to be that weary. Look at God. We don't have to be that weary. And that's why I stand out at. I let people know, yeah, you might have did something that wasn't pleasing to the flesh, but guess what? That ain't what's going to enter to the kingdom of heaven. It must return from where it come from. The ground. What's going to go is that spirit. work with that spirit that's within. And even been teaching, on that same page when we speaking on the spirit of the Lord. I said, you know what? I said, a lot of people, I guess they don't understand the formulas of the word of God sometimes. Back then in the Old Testament, they dealt with God himself one-on-one. Even though the Trinity was there, but he was outspoken more than the other two parts of the Trinity, but that don't mean the Trinity did not sustain itself. When Christ was born, now you're dealing with Jesus.
Right.
You're moving on up a little bit higher. When Christ paid the price back on Calvary and shedded his blood and he rose on the third day, glory be to God. What did he say to us? I leave you a comforter, the Holy Spirit. That's where we supposed to be with ourselves today. A lot of people wonder, why am I so broken? Why am I so hurt? Why am I not reaching my goals or my potentials? It's because you haven't woke up the Holy Spirit that lives within you.
Right.
Yes.
I'd like to step in here. So the one thing that the three of us have in common is that we are all essentially grief counselors. We have three very different models. Selena works with this thing called rapid transformation therapy, and she knows other forms of treatment. I'm a 12-step recovery, person, and you specialize in Christianity. And this is something that I've believed for some time, that Christianity is a valid source of recovery. That, there's more than one way to recover, but ultimately people need to talk about the tragedies. They need to talk about the traumas. They need to talk about the difficulties in their lives with somebody safe. And that's what you're talking about doing, is going out there and provide somebody a safe ear, so many people, another source of inspiration and strength with your understanding of the gospel.
Yes. And that's so, and like I said, that's so true. And I think, and you couldn't have said it no better for me, brother. And I thank you for doing that for me. That's my whole means and my goals is in these last days, these perilous days, is for us to wake that Holy Spirit up. We got to get that. We already got God. We already got the Son, but you need that part of that Trinity to complete your walk. That Holy Spirit. We got to wake that up. We got to get that thing. And people don't even know. They go to church, beat their tamarines. I love the Lord, pay their tithes, their offerings, and do all of that. That's wonderful. But you're incomplete.
Yes.
That Holy Spirit got to be woke up.
Well, and you even brought up the point. It's like when you asked God for guidance, he told you to look at your past. You had to do your own self-awareness work to get you where you are today.
Yes. And that's one thing that we have to do. I mean, you can't, if we could take our focus off of everybody and put it on self, just on self. Don't look at how mama raised you. Look how you raised yourself.
Exactly.
Don't look at,
you
see what I'm saying? What your husband did. Look what you did for yourself. Like I speak on, we can only, and we only will be acknowledged on what we know.
Yes.
God is
and
not going
asking
for what you don't know.
Yeah, and asking the right question is really very important. And I heard that from you. And it's like people are like asking, why me? Why I'm unfortunate? Why I'm not happy? Why I'm not reaching my goal? Instead, if we revise the questions and look for the best question, like when we are in the situation, instead of asking why this situation, why it's so difficult, if we will ask like, what can I do to pass this, and what can I get from this when I pass this? So you're looking forward, and you are really, that is unconsciously, you are making you know, you are stepping forward to the purpose, and asking the wrong questions is just going down and going back, and always, that's I think that's the point here. That's why we are gathered here, because there are so many people that they don't understand. Even, you know, I've learned from a journey to find the link between theology, spirituality, and science, and be open to it. Because
Okay.
I think you are, you know, it's like some people say, I'm not religious, so I am spiritual, but I'm not religious. So that's the thing that I want to hear from you, because I think you are. How can we enlighten people who separate the religious and the spirituality?
One way, it's a good topic and a good thing. Thank you for that. One way we can derive past this situation is to understand that everything we do is done in a set of three. It's like the Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit. When it comes to understanding religion and spirituality, you got to understand, if you got religion, which you first got to have yourself, and you got religion, where's your completion? It's a third in there. And if you don't act on that third, you're going to always be incomplete. You need
Yes.
that part of yourself to make it concrete. The word of God is a word that cannot lie. So if he spoke on it, why aren't you standing on it?
Mm.
It was,
Yes.
he said that word will not lie. He's a father that cannot lie.
It's
Why
really true.
stand on the promise of God? Why don't you stand on the word of God? Some things is called self-work. Do your own homework. If you can do your own homework to sit up here and stay in sin and do sin, why can't you do the same work to sit up here and want to try to live in salvation?
So I want to comment on that. You know, I've mentioned to you up front, there's a lot of people who use this term spiritual but not religious.
Yeah.
And the whole point of this show is religious and spiritual, because I believe for many people, religion can be a profound source of spirituality. It can be, but
Yeah.
it depends on how you choose to practice it. You know, and I had a discussion with somebody else, and she says she had mentioned that, you know, religion for a lot of people is, you know, it's following someone, it's following another way. And I don't practice that kind of religion myself. I consider myself to be very religious, but I'm not following anybody else's example. I follow the example of the like, I follow the example of Christ. I follow the example of Buddha. I follow the example of Muhammad, but I'm not them, and I'm not doing it their exact way. I just take their word. And like you said, you know, if it's true, if it's a universal truth, well, that's the word of God. And so I need to follow, even if I can't do it with perfection, I need to understand that if it's a universal truth, that's what I should be trying to live by.
Mm-hmm.
You know? So,
and with
Yes.
you saying that, that is so true. I was last night looking over religion, defining the words and getting, you know, a little bit more in depthness with the word religion. And you can be religious and still be spiritual. But when we speak on it, we got to put it in the text of some people's are just religion. They go up under what mama taught them.
Mm-hmm.
They got to attend every Sunday, sing in the choir, and say they go to somebody's church. But to understand of the conviction that comes in on the spiritual part. See, when you walk in the light is so bright. You walking with three. You're not walking with two. And you are one of them fortunate ones, and that's what we need to hear today, is that you have all three, and you subtract none. And some people just subtract, like the ones who go to church only on Easter just to show off their outfits, the ones that only show up at weddings and funerals. You see what I'm saying? Where is the spiritual conviction?
Right. Well,
great point.
In a 12-step recovery, we have this thing that I call the Holy Trinity: recovery, unity, service. Yes. And I need to have all three of those things to have a complete life. And I think the area that most people are lacking is service. That, you know, if you aren't serving other people in some way, that you don't have that constant connection with God, that people helping people is like God shaking hands.
Yeah, I do believe that as well. Service is a very big part of the purpose. It's just very important. We cannot say like, oh, I'm a good person, I do good, and you don't do anything for other people. We don't have to live for our own alone. We have to serve, we have to love, but in the right way.
Yeah,
right.
So
and yeah, like I said, that works very well. But and like with you doing your outstanding thing with the recovery ministry, that's what I call it, because it has been ordained by God, and you are doing a miraculous job of being a faithful servant to Him in the recovery. You see what I'm saying? Ministry. All we need to understand, like you said, is that we have to complete everything. If you go to the doctor, you go as yourself, that's one. You go with an illness, that's two. If you don't see no doctor, you're not complete.
Okay.
If you go and you grab the Father and you grab the Son and you don't execute your Holy Spirit, you're not complete.
Yeah.
If you get in your car and you take your purse and you say you going to the store, but you just get your purse and you get in the car, but you don't turn the car on, you're not complete.
Very good point.
Finally complete everything. One of my sermons, I'm going along with what we're saying. When I get ready to speak, if I'm ever called into have to do a sermon, do you know what it's called? Do you serve a layaway God? I'm going to speak on how we take it upon ourselves to put something on layaway that's been paid for in full. And you wonder why you have sleepless nights. You wonder why you're not able to rise above your situations. Little faith we have.
Right. Well, yeah. And that brings us back to an earlier point. You were talking about the clenched fist or the open hand. And you know, I'm a very big supporter of this thing that I call the actual grieving process. And my premise is that you cannot reach acceptance unless you let something go. You can't be in a receiving mode with clenched fists.
That's it.
So, you know, it's, to me, life is a process of constantly letting something go. And if you don't let go, then you don't understand God's will. You're all caught up in your own will.
And you know, and you know, it's just so we can sit back. And that's one thing I thank the Lord for on another spiritual movement in my life, is that I'm able to see things and not ponder on things. I don't have no worries. And it might sound boastful, it might sound prideful or whatever, but I can do that because I serve a mighty Savior. I know who got my back.
Right, right.
That's it. Yeah, that's cool. On His word, I can stand on His promise. And people, my family looks at me like that, be like, Oh, you walk around here like you untouchable. I am, because my father built a fence around me. And
Yeah.
none of you or
Good
anything
one.
that's of you gonna come across it. He ain't gonna let no harm come to his soldier, his disciple. He needs me. So that's where we need to come most to. You can lay down in your misery and all of that, shoulda, coulda, woulda, he did it, daka, daka, daka. But in the end of it all, when are you gonna rise up? You're gonna let go and let God.
Right.
And let Yahweh,
Great.
whatever you want to call him. I was talking to another sister of ours, and they wanted to go through all the names and stuff that he's being called. I said, guess what? One thing in the Bible sustained of it all. He said, every knee is going to bow and every tongue is going to confess.
Wow.
So if he's Yahweh, guess what? We going to still bow to Yahweh and we're going to confess. If it's Jesus, it's not that. It's the point of, do you know who you is? Because he know who he is.
Mm.
Get you together. Don't worry about him. He the one who created you. Quit acting like you created him. You don't have
Yeah, exactly.
We all need help from the gate.
Yeah,
You
that
know,
is so interesting because yeah, it's makes me think like, they say there is this thing, if you believe that you are created by the most powerful, what makes you think that you're not good enough, that you cannot create the life that you want, the life of purpose? So it's really important, to know our source, to really trust the process, to really trust that he is the most powerful. And this is a very powerful show
Yeah.
today. It's really amazing. And it's although I am very open, science and everything, and but I believe the source. I believe where I came from, who made me, and who command me to do the thing that I do. And I just that's made that is this is the that makes it very important
yeah.
for three of us, because we agree in one point.
And one thing is, I offer this as a gift to anybody and everybody that I come across, come in touch with, and I tell them, I said, to start to heal, to start to receive, to start to even move or see movement in your life, don't check your surroundings, check your vocabulary. Take all those NT words out of your vocabulary. Can, should,
Yeah.
could. Those are words of hindrance.
Yeah.
Why hinder yourself with something that you set free from? Live.
Exactly.
Speak
Mhm.
life on your situation. Speak healing on your situation. You don't need a pastor or a preacher or someone else to sit up here and bring communication between you and God. You can do it yourself. Only thing
Yeah.
he said is he need an open heart, a receiving heart. Talk to him.
Yes.
And
And
trust me, all will be answered. It might not come when you want it, but he gonna be there on time. You feel me? But that's what we need to do. That's in 12 step. That's in anything that we do. If your vocabulary don't change, your life is not going to change.
yes. And the
That
words that follow after, if I meet the person, I will be happy. If I get the money, I will be successful. And that those things that people need to be aware of.
yes. And get off and get off their knees. God created you. He knew you before you entered your mother's womb. So he knew you was going to be an alcoholic. He knew you was going to be a liar. He knew you was going to be a fornicator. He knew these things. Get off the knees and stop going with this always want to be needy prayer. Go in with thanks and thanksgiving. Thank him for what he has already done, and whatever he hasn't done, give him thanks for.
Yeah.
what he wants. He wants that. He don't, I mean, Lord, I still ain't got my bills paid. Lord, you get to singing them hymns that they sound like a needle on a broken record. Move past that. And I tell people, if you and prayed so many times on one thing and you ain't seen no deliverance from it, it's not the point he didn't answer, he wasn't listening. Maybe you need to change your prayer line.
Yes.
Right. Change your
Right.
language on that.
Mm.
Switch it around, because trust me, you can annoy Jesus too.
Exactly.
Get on his nerve too. Jesus was human. Remember, he got angry. You see what I'm saying? So don't think that he does not know what we know and what we feel he does not feel.
So let me ask you, you feel, I just want to get your opinion on this. I'm reading you right now. And so I'm going to tell you what I see. I see that, we, each of us in our own way, we lead by example. And that you're not asking people to follow you. You, as a chaplain, your role is to be a conduit for the word and to show people how to connect to God themselves directly. It's not like they need to come to your church and listen to what you got to say because you know how it's done and you. It's got nothing to do with you. You are a vessel and a conduit for the message, and that's what you're offering to people is, somebody who's going to give them guidance so that they can have this relationship with God personally.
Amen. Everything.
Amen to that.
That's me right there. It's not about me. I'm not looking for no rewards. I'm not looking for no accolades. I'm not looking for nothing. All I'm looking for is the Lord, my God, that I praise, that I love, to be well pleased when it comes to that day that I shall see him face to face. And he said, well done, my faithful servant. I want to see in that book that's going to be open called Good Deeds, pages to where his fingers get numb from turning.
Yeah.
To say, job while I reign here on the face of this earth. That's what I want.
Right. And that's, we're trying to get to the whole reason for this show is it's a law of attraction thing. I want to give you more exposure to the people who would benefit from you. And the law of attraction is you're going to reach the people that you need to, the ones that are interested in what you have to say. They're going to flock to you. And, you make such a good point about the things that we do today. It's like, I'm not trying to get into heaven. I just don't want to experience any more suffering once I leave this place. And so I know I need to do certain things to clear my karma. And I look at my parents, and God bless them. They're both deceased, and they both died angry people. Angry, spiteful people, and they must have just had a miserable passing because they were still clinging to life. And I don't want to be that. I want to be at peace when my time comes. And I think the only way I'm going to do that is if I clear my path today. So that's kind of the message that I got from you in my own, interpreted in my own words.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, you did it again. Amen. I agree. I co-sign on that because it's that one, acknowledge that we're dealt with selectively and not collectively. Mama may have, Papa may have, but God bless the child that has his own. We got to get that one thing together, or quit trying to do the Partridge Family, the Brady Bunch. It's not going to go into the word, into the eyesight of God like that. We all have our in and out dates. We're dealt with on a chord, not a group.
Right.
And once you get that focus and quit trying to blame everybody for what you're doing. Yeah, daddy might have been an abuser, but you still had a right to choose to do it or not to do it, follow or not follow. If you chose to follow, guess what? the repercussions is going to be greater on you than it is him, because the thing is, you're taking on something that wasn't your business. It wasn't your assignment. You being a follower. So followers lead themselves to a whole lot of condemnation when it comes to being out of the will of God. Look at the ones that walk of the Israel people that walked around in what was that? Help me. For 40 days and 40 nights, they did the wilderness. They could have stopped walking on their third day if they would acknowledge him. That's all. They didn't want to do that. So he's like, okay, since y'all don't want to get together, y'all just keep on walking. He's sitting up there, y'all tired yet, dog? Okay, y'all ain't got it right. Okay, walk some more. He showed them refuge to bring them out after 40 days. He showed them love. He could have made them walk to their feet, could have sawed down to their knees. But he brought them out because he knows they get it, but they don't have it. But we're going to let them work on it just a little while longer. I'm gonna let their own self beat themselves, but they'll get it eventually. One day, we pray and we hope. So that's all, like I said, in one nutshell, that we just have to understand is, first, take the focus off of everything, anything that you are entwined with. Look at self. And when you look at self, start to develop a relationship with self, with cleaning up yourself.
Yeah.
Get that mindset back right. Increase what you have decreased on the good side of yourself, not the bad side. If your love level was this low, make sure that rise up a little bit higher than your lying, stealing, and cheating. Work within and not without. And everything will come to fruition for you because he said so. You don't want to constantly have that little faith of Peter. You don't want to keep having that. I mean, how many times did I'm going to sit up and say, Jeff, you know you're wrong. Jeff, you know you're wrong. Jeff, supercalifragilisticexpialidocious, put blocks in front of you and all of this kind of stuff. It still means, guess what? Jeff, you're wrong.
Oh, yeah. Well, I just, I'll be a little honest with you. I had guests lined up for 2 weeks ago, and I ended up getting into a fight with somebody in a Facebook group, and the guest backed out on me. And after 6.5 years of fighting on Facebook, it finally hit me. I don't have to fight. I don't have to start the fight. I don't have to engage the problem. I don't have to gaslight. I don't have to, every time I'm offended by something, I don't have to speak up. I can just quietly accept that it's different than what I believe and move on. And I've been doing that, since that episode. And like you said, I mean, you can ask God for the same thing over and over and over. And if the answer is no, then you're asking for the wrong thing. And so in order for me to finally return to peace and become a better version of myself, I had to let go of my desire to be right. Being right is not helping me. Not helping at all. So I let that go, and it's like things have been going much better for about 3 weeks. I just, I just don't engage in things that disagree with my soul.
Right. And you end up battling only yourself. You feel what I'm saying? Because after you went through what you went through with that individual probably over there in Tahiti drinking a Mai Tai, and you sitting up there having sleepless night, diarrhea, runny nose, and pull yourself back together over something that, guess what? It was told for you to do. It wasn't something that you told yourself, but it was told for you to do. So there's no argumentation when it comes to serving in God.
Right.
You do his will. And like he said, you can sit back and I make your enemy your footstool. Let me fight your battle.
Right.
You ain't got to step out there on our time because you wonder why you trip. That's the reason why you trip, because guess what? You didn't step back. You got in the way. And that's what we do. We always want to jump in front of our blessings. We want to jump in front of our deliverance. We want to jump in front. Who is you to jump in front? You wait your turn in line.
Right. See, I should know this because I've been in recovery for so long. We have this thing, step 3, made a decision to turn our will and our lives over to the care of God as we understand him. I wasn't doing that. I kept taking my will back. I kept taking it and saying, no, I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it. And you were so right. It's like sometimes we need to just let God fight our battles because it's the only way they're going to get resolved. Me putting my will into a situation is just going to aggravate it and keep attracting more of the same suffering. You know, again, with law of attraction stuff, it's like if I'm thinking about problems, I'm going to attract more problems.
And you just had to, and you know something, and one thing is, and you know, the Holy Spirit is speaking to me right now. You didn't have to even worry about it at that time like that. You didn't even have to look at it at that time like that, because the thing is, you're human. You're flesh. He know you was going to do it, but you didn't give up. That's the part of the blessing. You didn't give up. You stayed on your recovery. You stayed on his word. You stayed on his focus. See, we get so broken to the point of when we do fall, we feel like all hope is gone. No, it's not.
Yeah. We all get into that situation. It doesn't matter how long I've been in recovery. When I slip, it feels like, oh, that's it. It's despair and it's all.
It doesn't work that way. You keep on going. The race is not given to the swift. It's given to those who endure to the end. We still in the race. You still gonna come up with temptation. He said this. That's why I say I love the word of God, because it's a word that can't lie. He told you already this was to come. What part of it did you
hear? And also, you know, including my co-host here, that's one of the things with Selena's workshops is that it requires consistency and commitment. If you want to see the results, you have to commit to the process. And, you know, for people that are really struggling with trauma, sometimes, you know, they need a variety of solutions. And I would not have received the benefit of the work that I did with her if I didn't commit to it. And I wasn't consistently, you know, applying the treatments that she created for me. So, you know.
Yes, that is, you did the hard work, you know. And it is really, I see that now. It's amazing. Cannot explain it, but you know, I call it a miracle. You know, miracle happens every day, no matter how you call it, even if it is science or whatever. But the outcome, when it's good, it's always a blessing. It's always the same. And it doesn't matter what process you use. It doesn't matter. If you commit and if you hear the word, if you hear the thing that you need, there's no coincidence. It's not coincidence that we are here. And even if we don't know anymore what we talk about, in our subconscious, it's all recorded there. Somehow there is a reprogramming that happened, deleting and creating a new belief. And yeah, unconsciously, by just doing this.
You know, I want to say to you, Jeff, if I could, one thing that that just attracts, and I'm gonna be honest with you, you don't have to say a mumbling word. You know where in the word of God it says, let your light so shine that others will see it. You have a glow of deliverance on you. And it shines so brightly to the point of people's want to know, just like the three wise men did with the star of Jesus. They want to know, what is it to this light? Why does it shine so brightly? When people come in your presence and they see you, they don't know how to come to you. Because first of all, they got to understand, why is this presence so bright? This light so bright. Now, when you start to share your testimony with them, do you know, and I don't know if no one ever told you this, once you start to open up your mouth, deliverance starts to roll off your tongue. You start to speak healing into that person right then and there.
Yeah, well,
Exactly.
that's the gift of recovery. That comes from going to 12-step meetings for many, many years, and you learn to open up, you learn to be honest and vulnerable. And I have to give recovery credit for that. I didn't do that. That's something that happened to me. You know, I didn't create that part of myself. It was a gift that I was given.
You know something? I'm gonna help you with that part too. It was there. You just didn't wake it up, like we was talking about that Holy Spirit.
Yeah.
We
Well,
don't wake
Yeah, you know. To add on that, Jeff, you know, I always say to you, there is something in you. Even if we started really in a very awkward situation, if but I told you many times, there is something in you that you don't even realize. There is something that is, yeah, no, Minister Davie, you say that, yeah, he has that, and unconsciously sometimes, well, we are still human, and I said there is something in this man. There is power within that. There
well,
is.
it's probably best that I don't see it, because knowing my ego, it would take that and get all inflated.
That's the thing.
You know,
Because you have the strong spirit, the ego is trying to overcome it, to hold it, to dim the light. That's now I understand, and now Minister Davie explained it really well, and that's the thing.
Yes. And see, what God gives you, can no man take away from you. So regardless of what you call yourself want to do, guess what? He still got you. He still got your back. Your credit, your work has proven itself to still be in his favor. So you might think you left him, but he ain't left you. It's just that you got to wake him back up. Get back up and start riding again, because it's not over. To the fat lady singing, the last time I checked, she was still trying to find a loaf of bread to go with the meat for her sandwich. So
yeah. Well, you know, you mentioned universal truth. So here's a universal truth for you. There's this thing, and it's been said by many people many ways. This thing called the Buddhist law of mirrors. That states that we can only see that which was within ourselves. So, and Rumi says, the beauty you see in me is a reflection of you. And so whatever you two see in me, whatever light that you're recognizing, I have to give you credit. You must have it within yourselves, otherwise you wouldn't see it. So thank you.
And you know what? That's why, oh God, thank you, Lord. Oh, he's so good. Awesome. Thank you. That's where the spiritual eye come in at. That's why I said that spirituality have the spirituality that lives within us can only see what no man has ever seen. It can go, but no other man has ever gone. And if a person don't have that, they're not going to see it in you.
Right.
They go other things of you, but they're not going to see that in you. And that's where I like peoples to be at in these days, these last days, is in contact with each other on the spiritual realm of themselves, because that is where the power is coming from more so for us, because that's our decade. You feel what I'm saying? Matthew, Mark, Luke, and them had theirs with Jesus, not counting nothing out of the Trinity. You see what I'm saying? God had them in the Old Testament, but we are in the last days. Spirituality is our go-to. It's our intercessor. It's our lover. It's our husband. It's our wife. It's everything that you ever want to call it. If it wasn't so, he wouldn't have left it.
Well, you know, some people say make recovery first so that everything else doesn't come last. But, you know, recovery is ultimately a search for self, a search for your true self, not your ego self, but your genuine, authentic, unconditioned self. And in that place, we all know the same things. We all have the same moral code, and we just have a different language for it. And that's, you know, that's the word of God, and that's the word of acceptance. It's the way I interpret it. And, you know, for those who don't believe in God, that's okay too, because you can describe it with karma or the law of attraction. To me, those are just other ways that God works. You know? So,
Right.
you know, it's important, more than anything, it's important that we find peace. And sharing this time with you too has been very peaceful for me. So I thank you for that.
Oh,
Thank you. Thank you,
you.
Jeff. Thank you.
Beautiful soldiers and apostles and all that good stuff. And, you know, in the Lord, I mean, it is always a pleasure. This is better than me going to attend somebody's church, because as well as I've been a blessing to you guys have been a blessing to me. So the word of God has went up and it has went out. And I feel the deliverance. I feel the love. I feel the peace in it. And I just hope and pray that when we meet again with enforcing even more so knowledge and goodness of him, because he's worthy to be praised.
Yeah, we should do it regularly. It's really it's amazing.
Yes, I
This
would
is a
love
wonderful workshop.
you guys again, you know, and all that kind of stuff, because like I said, this is an inspiration, and this is just as I can say, another part of me educations in my Christian ministry. So I thank you, my brother Jeff, you know, for sharing this with me. A pleasure, Selena, of meeting you. And God bless you in many, many of ways, which you are to speak on it. You are already blessed. Your name is signed and sealed on so much in his kingdom. And I just love it. And you guys did an awesome job. And thank you for allowing me to share my testimonies and witness and all that good stuff. And I just look forward to one more day that we can do it together and all that good stuff.
Sure, me too.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for sharing.
Well, before we
your
close,
wisdom.
I wanted to say, why don't you go ahead and, you know, give yourself a plug, talk about, you know, tell people where they can find you and your gospel show and what other things you'd like to promote.
Oh well, yes, most definitely. I'm on Facebook. My name is Howard Minister Davie, Davie, and you can find me there. I am religiously on Facebook every Sunday, bringing you the best in praise and worship on gospel music, old, present, and some you never heard. And I'm there every Sunday.
I'm
We
gonna
are
check this.
Gospel music. Yeah, and we are there for an hour, or like I let's say on my program, until the Holy Spirit leads. Okay, where he leads, I shall follow. We go album 30 minutes. Guess what? He ain't finished with us yet, but you will have a great, great time there. It's nothing but love, peace, and blessings there. And also, I do other musical things. I do at 7 o'clock. I do this thing that's called a juke joint, and that's why I play the best in blues, stepping, and old school music. And it's just for my old buddies and stuff like this, because they took so much away from us as far as this music goes on the radio. So we like that old Temptation, or you said some of that good stuff. So if you want to hear some of that good old stuff, come in on that Sunday evening at 7 o'clock Central Time for both of them, and you will find me there. And I chomp off and on through the week, and I might play some house music, as we call it, disco music or something like that. But my heart is my Sunday morning praise and worship.
Yeah, it's a great show. I always enjoy attending it.
Yeah.
So, do you have any other questions or comments for Reverend Davie? Sorry.
No, it's I think I've already that was complete, and I'm just enjoying the vibe, the energy, the values that I get. And thank you so much, Minister Davie. It's not the last time that we see you, of course. Thank you so much. I'm gonna check your page and I'm gonna follow you there. I want to know more about what you do, of course, for more inspiration. Thank you so much.
You are more than welcome, and thank you guys both for having me. And you have a blessed and prosperous week, and enjoy the holiday if you choose to enjoy. Other than that, it'll be a pleasure to see y'all once again in the house of the Lord.
Great. Thank you so much.
Of course. Thank you. Chef, thank you so much.
Okay.
Yep.
Bye now.
Great show.
All right.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you.